All right, welcome back to 68 Whiskey Garage. Today we are going to be working on a Toyota pickup. It's actually one that I've had for quite a while. I've done some work off and on to it. We're having issues with starting. It doesn't really start without being jumped, so I'll walk you over to it and we will go through and I'll show you the stuff that I've done already, some things that needs to be done, and some of my plans for it in the future. I'm going to do kind of a little series on this pickup because since I was a little kid, I've always loved these 80s Toyota pickups, and they've definitely picked up in popularity over the past 10, 15 years, and like to keep them on the road as much as possible. But I'll take you over to it. We'll walk around it, and I'll explain kind of what my plan is on building it up and what I'm going to end up doing with it by the time we get there. So come with me. This is it. It's a 1986 Toyota pickup. It's probably lived its life at some point being a bit of a farm truck, and the guy I got it from had a wood flatbed on it, but with snow and everything he ended up putting a steel bed, and that's how I ended up getting it, which it's cancer ridden. It's pretty ate up, but it's there and it works. It did have a frame swap at one point. That's not the original frame that's underneath it. That is from another four-wheel drive Toyota pickup. I kind of wish they would have done the two-wheel drive, because with those you have a little more arch in the frame here, and it's just better whenever you go to do your like a straight axle swap. It just gives you more flex of room. I did end up putting 5-inch lift springs in the rear. I still need to mount the shock absorbers in the rear, but I need to weld in a bar to go across from frame rail to frame rail before I can put them up. Ignore the fart can. I just needed something, and it's just straight pipe all the way up to the front, and it has long tube headers on it, but I'll pop the hood and you guys will see that. But typical rear, rusted through, kind of like I was saying. It's pretty well done for. Snow's covering it, but there's holes in the bed too. But 32-inch tires. I ended up having to use aluminum blocks up here on the upper control arm. It kind of sits right in here. You can kind of see that there. That way I can actually kind of like level this out, because before I did that, it was just it was just tilted nosedive, and it was pretty rough to drive. But I'll get in here. I actually ended up swapping the bench seat. I got these for like $25 from some guy here in town just selling it. Needs some money. They're just seats out of a minivan. Yeah, pretty sure, but has the 5-speed 4-shifter for 4-wheel drive. But we will go ahead and pop the hood, and you can see all the horsepower this thing's got. All 95 horses screaming out of this 22R. There's the long tube headers I was talking about. Did the old Weber carb swap. K&N air filter. But I'm thinking this is our problem. I think the battery's shot. 1218, because once it's running, it'll stay running. So I think the alternator is good. It's just running on the alternator at that point. But then as soon as you turn it off, does not matter how long you got this thing running, it will not turn back over. Battery's just dead. But it was 2018. I had this engine and everything pulled out, tore it down, did a full rebuild. This is actually not the original block. I ended up breaking a head bolt. What can you do, right? I tried to get it out with an easy out, and it just did not work. So it was just easier to go find another block. I picked one up for like $100, short block, and then threw it all together. Got it in here, fired up. It's running right. So this isn't going to be like a super in-depth video in regards to how much work this thing needs yet. I do have, and in previous videos you can kind of see the front end of a black 85 Toyota pickup, and it has a straight axle, so I'm going to end up doing a straight axle swap, which is, this here is independent front suspension, so it'll end up cutting all of that out, welding in new hangers, putting in leaf springs, put up the other axle underneath it, and then pushing the axle forward probably 3 or so inches, and then as soon as that's buttoned up, we'll have a legitimate off-road truck at that point. Don't get me wrong, I like independent front suspension and it has its place, but for getting better travel on a budget, that's the key thing. I'm not made of money. I don't have a whole lot of money to do this kind of stuff. That other truck I picked up for like 400 bucks. So that's a little Mini Cooper that runs around town here. That thing is, I don't even know, it's clapped out, but it's that dude's having fun. But yeah, straight axle swap it, redo the shock absorbers in the rear, and then this will be a real nice going to the trail rig. And who knows, maybe on top of all of that, when we get there, all this will come back out again. I don't know, maybe we'll do a V8 swap. We might be able to keep it Toyota, may go small block Chevy. It's just kind of up in the air right now, but for now we're just gonna do this. So I'm gonna go ahead over here. There's my dog lady. She's a sweetheart. She's about 10 years old now, probably about the best dog you could ask for. But I'm gonna hop in the old Dodge, get it flipped around, and then hook up some jumper cables, and we're gonna get this thing to fire off. Should be good to go, so stick with me.
You guys with me? There's one thing that Toyota did
That I think is worth showing. All right, get her neutral, put in the key. You got this button here, press it, and then you don't have to depress the clutch. Man, you gotta love how well these things start. Alright. The old 22R is running. Alright. Let's see how she moves out. Oh shit. I'll have to get a better camera for this, huh? But she's driving all right. This really isn't a highway rig. This is something kind of you can load up, take down to the trail. You could drive it there, but like I said, small engine, big tires. It's got a bit of a lift. It would take forever to get there. I'd probably only be able to drive like 50, 55, and this thing would be screaming. But we're gonna take it back, go back in the alley, make sure four-wheel drive is still working the way it needs to be. Oh, gosh. Going to check it out. I'll tell you what, it's shifting a little rough, a little hard to get into gear. So that clutch needs some work, or we need to put some fluid and top it off. I'll have to check that. But we'll go ahead and get back here. Tell you what, this is the only truck I've ever owned that I've never gotten stuck. The only issue I've ever had with it, I went through a, we'll call it a hole that was just a little too deep, and it sucked a bunch of water in the carb. Probably 30-40 seconds of just turning it over, thing fired right up. I'm telling you, these trucks with that 22R, you can do darn near anything with it. I mean, it's really, it's incredible. But we'll get over here. I'll put her in 4-wheel drive, and we'll see what it can do. Wife's gonna help hold the phone for me, because unfortunately all of this is still on my phone. I was looking up some knockoff like GoPro style cameras, and I'm thinking we'll probably end up getting something like that. But until then, sorry guys, this is what you're gonna have to deal with. But I'll try working on it, making it better.
So truck's running great. I mean, it sounds horrible. I mean, that lifter tick is just kind of common with 22Rs. I can go in there and try to adjust the rockers and all that and try to kind of work it out a little bit to where it's not so bad. Definitely needs an oil change. We'll end up doing that. Probably do that in another video for this. But four-wheel drive works. It's having a little bit of trouble shifting into gear when I need it to. But like I said, we'll go through, we'll look at, check the clutch fluid, master cylinder, all that. See if it needs topped off. It's been sitting, this truck had been sitting for well over a year. I ended up getting just caught up with other stuff. And if you do anything with this kind of hobby, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I love this truck. We're gonna hold on to it. We're gonna do the work it needs. We're gonna eventually do the straight axle swap, fix up the rear end, probably end up doing something about the flatbed. I don't know yet. If you guys have any ideas on that, comment that down below. Things that you may have seen or done in the past, I have a few ideas, but funds and the ability to do some of it is probably going to limit a lot of it. But we'll just kind of see how this goes, and I can save up and try to make something happen. But definitely needs an oil change. Definitely need to check fluid for the clutch. The transmission itself seems fine. It's great, actually. When I redid the engine, I swapped all the gear oil out of it, put new gear oil. Same with the rear end and the front up here, the front diff. But yeah, this is going to be a fun truck. I'm going to end up. I need to use a voltmeter to check that battery to make sure we're getting what we need to be getting. It's still running. It's idling. It's running off the alternator. I'm pretty positive it needs a new battery, but I'm going to check that to be sure. Unfortunately, I left my multimeter in the C20 that I'm working on right now, which we'll do a follow-up video on that soon. The issue is we had all of this snow come down. It was roughly like 8 inches. This snow's been here for 3 days now, and out there at the pasture where the truck's at, it was about 8-9 inches deep. And for the few things, it's just going to be soupy mud and wet snow, cold. So we had to pause that for now. I did get a couple videos up on that, so you can go back and check them out if this is the first video you're watching. But we're gonna get better. I learned I can tip my phone sideways. We're gonna have a full screen video, so I apologize for the previous 2 videos on that. I'm learning as I go. We'll get better at this, but yeah, we're gonna get going on this. But eventually we're going to be working on this here. This is kind of a collage of a couple different vehicles, right? Me and my dad were actually putting this together. It's a 46 Ford F1 cab. It's like an early 50s Ford bed. This front end, minus the hood, this front end here, the fenders, we have a hood for it. It's all from a 1941 Ford Super Deluxe. So we're gonna make that happen. Still kind of on the fence about what engine we're going to put in this. It's sitting on an S10 frame, so it'd be really easy to just go with a GM make, do like a 350 or a 305, something. Or we can keep it Ford, go find like a 302 or a 351, whichever, whatever. But hopefully we'll be getting this thing on the road for the car show what is it, August or September that they do here in town. And we'll get it cleaned up, painted up. We're going to save that scheme of what we're going to paint it for a later video, but you'll see what we're going to be doing there. But we do have a few other projects going on. We're going to end up getting this cab, doing some type of rat rod with it, so stick around. We'll do some videos on that. I've got a couple engines in the garage, one that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. It's a Cadillac 472, came out of a 69 DeVille. Originally I was planning on doing like a Jeep rod with it, but unfortunately the Jeep that I picked up had some titling issues, and unfortunately I had to take it back. Just kind of is what it is. But what I'm going to do now is, with the square body here, I've already started collecting parts. I've got the rear sump pan. I need to get the turtle shell or whatever shell mounting brackets for the frame to block mounts. I've got a turbo 4 in transmission. I need to get the slip yoke for that. But once we get that, the 350 and the 704 that's in this will be coming out, and at that point we will drop the 472 and the turbo 400 into this, It's going to be a torque monster. I'm going to love it. We'll be able to use this truck for pulling trailers. Later on down the road, we'll do a little bit more work on that engine and see what kind of horsepower we can pull out of it. But I mean, stock back in the day, they were pushing over 300 horses, like another like 400 something foot-pounds torque. I mean, it's a real beast of an engine. It's just unfortunate they never made it into like a performance application. I mean, they were put in the DeVille, the 500, which is basically the same block, different crank, different pistons, but it was in the Eldorados, whatever. And it was only for like a short period of time that they were out. So they're kind of hard to find, especially the aftermarket. It's real small for them. There's like 2 or 3 companies here in the States that still produce or manufacture aftermarket parts for them. But either way, we're gonna get that going. I'll do another video update for all of that. And then, yeah, just stick around, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. We're still a real small channel right now, but we're growing. So I appreciate all you guys that have watched so far, and I appreciate you guys leaving a like and subscribing. Honestly, it'll be a big help. And that way it can help me pursue this further, and we can expand some of our projects and yeah, just grow together basically. And then we'll move on from there. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.